Tanner Houck's 55 right now.
Welcome into the show, ladies and gentlemen, the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Show, a proud member of Fantasy Points and the Fantasy Points Media Group. DMendy here, joined by my crew. Of course, you know, Art Tornabenny, a.k.a. Little Cheesecake, Eric Mendelson, the Doc, Marty Tallman, Marty Party. Fellas, we're doing a little quicker show with our SP Part 3 preview. So I just got to ask, how are y'all feeling? And you ready to wrap up our SP discussion?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
I'm ready for baseball to start and stop drafting with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all tired of drafting with each other. We're just sniping left and right. So much just like, you're just like, all right, let's just actually get to games.
Our final draft is our home league Sunday. Art has 7, I have 8, and David has 9th. So literally going to be so much sniping. Hashtag pew pew.
It really is. I'm trying to trade out of the pick for that reason.
Maybe get some video content for the YouTube page on this. I mean, it sounds like a good opportunity. You know, I'm not going to be there, but in spirit, you know.
I'm going to text Marty the whole draft to help me with my team and just say, F you guys. It's going to be our squad to the top.
Way to just say that you're a casual then.
Wow.
Well, asking for Marty's help, but you're shooting down half the cast here.
I'm shooting down you.
No, because you're calling Marty a casual for me hitting him up.
No, I'm saying you're a casual that you can't draft your own team.
That doesn't make sense. I think I can. It makes 2 great heads are better than 1. So that's how I look at it. All right. Let's get into some SP discussion. We're talking starting pitcher preview part 3, which is going to be pitchers going anywhere from 61 to 100 plus over on the NFBC. And we're going to be looking at ADP over the last week. So this is... I tried to mute myself, but I couldn't get it in time. Well, maybe Art can cut that out. For those that don't want to hear me sneeze.
No.
So at this point in the draft, we're not really talking about who to avoid at this point because they're all such good values that you're just either trying to target these guys or you're looking elsewhere at this point in the draft. So we're each going to give you our 5 favorite guys to draft in this range and why to do so. And without further ado, why don't we talk about these pitchers? And let's go to Marty Party first. Give us your first pitcher in the 61 to 100 range that you feel like you find yourself drafting a lot of.
Yeah, so it's going to be John Gray. So he's just at the start of that range. Texas Rangers. So just obviously easy analysis here, but him getting out of Colorado. Although I do have the hat on today, but getting out of Colorado, going to Texas, which is obviously a way better ballpark for everything offense. He's been a workhorse really over the last 5 seasons. 4 of those times he's got over 145 innings. So he's pitching a lot. He's going to be on a much improved team, a better ballpark, and an opportunity. I mean, they want to make the playoffs. I mean, they've spent a lot of money, so they expect, he'll be going as much as they can. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure he's their ace. So yeah, he's all signs point up. And God bless him for getting out of Colorado. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I think one of the people we're talking about how like you also have to change your pitching approach when you're in Colorado. It's not just that you're obviously the ball that you're affected just by the overall parts of the park, but your pitches play differently. So you can't.
There's no consistency. I mean, at every point of the season, you are adjusting. If you're home and away, home and away, home and away. So even if he's just out of that ballpark, it's going to give him a chance to actually work on his stuff on a consistent level, something he's never been able to do.
Yeah, and I feel like Doc's on the same page with you with John Gray. He loved John Gray when he was in Colorado, and he loves John Gray with Texas.
Yeah, and it's not just because he signed to baseball for me and had a good conversation. So he's a good guy, But as Marty mentioned, the durability is there, and that's what you're really looking at as someone to eat those innings. And he started the season out well. He had a 3.15 ERA last year. We saw a flash in July where over 30 innings, he had a 2.97 ERA. I do think that he needs to just kind of stop throwing the fastball a little bit as much. He had a 331 batting average against, but I look at his other pitches, a slider, a 156 batting average, a change, that 263 batting average, the curveball at 120. I just think a new environment's going to help him out. And especially he's probably going to get more run support than he did before. So you hope the wins go up as well. So I just love the value where he's at.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's somebody, like Marty mentioned, over the last week on NFBC, he's going pitcher 86 around 218. So I think it's a pretty good value for an ace of a staff and somebody that they invested a lot in. So, he's going to have every opportunity to succeed there. So you guys are both in on him. And I don't think you guys have actually even fought over him in any drafts. But how much exposure do you guys have to Jon Gray, Marty? Do you have him on a lot of teams?
Yeah, I've done 6 teams. I have him on 1. So he's actually going before I'm even able to get him. And so I'm seeing myself getting Eduardo Rodriguez a little bit more, a little bit earlier, a lot earlier than that. But by the time I get back into the pool, he's already gone.
What about you, Doc? How many teams do you have Jon Gray on?
I have him on 1, and I took Eduardo Rodriguez in our Dynasty League because of Marty. As I clicked that draft button, I was like, Marty Tallman is smiling somewhere.
Yeah.
Click.
I think I felt it.
Every time an Eduardo Rodriguez is drafted, a Marty Tallman smiles.
I do.
I have Jon Gray on 2 teams, by the way.
How does the guy that doesn't want to talk about Jon Gray have Jon Gray on more teams than both of you guys?
I don't know. I asked Marty who I should draft, just like you're gonna do this weekend.
Smart man. Great minds think alike there. Elsie, who's your first player in this range?
Drew Rasmussen is the first guy I wanted to talk about. Now, he's a relief pitcher turned starting pitcher who kind of benefited from a low BABIP and a low home runs per 9 as he finished out the season as a starter for Tampa Bay last year. Now, it looks like he's pretty well locked into that rotation. And as he just turned into a starter towards the end of last season, there are some concerns about how many innings he's going to throw. Is he going to go through more than 130, 140 innings? And I don't think he probably will go more than like 140 innings, but I think they're going to be quality innings. I think you started to see towards the end of the season, he was going 5 innings consistently. He went at least 5 innings in the last 4 to 5 starts of four starts of the season, and 5 of his last 6 starts of the season. So he's going the distance to get wins, and he's going in a good organization that's going to manage his workload really well and giving him an opportunity to pick up wins. So the other thing that I wanted to say is his stuff rates really highly in Stuff Plus model, which is something that always bolsters a look at this point, someone who has the stuff to possibly increase his strikeout totals and given an opportunity in a good organization.
Yeah. Do you think, LC, that he gets a spot in the rotation to start out the year? You think he comes out of the pen, or do you think he ends up being one of those guys you can put as an SP in the RP spot, and that becomes his most valuable asset for your fantasy team?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Tampa Bay using him in one of those follower roles where he might be able to vulture some wins. He has the ability. He showed the ability to go 5 innings last season. I think right now he's projected to be the second or third starter in the rotation. Looks like he's pretty solid in the rotation, but with Tampa Bay, they could move him in and out of the rotation, use him in different roles throughout the season. They do like to use their pitchers kind of as Swiss Army knives.
Yeah, they do. And any pitcher that's on the Rays, obviously you're going to keep your eye on. They seem to evaluate pitchers really well and bring them up when they're ready. So I do like that call there. I'm going to stay in that same division. And my first player I'm going to talk about is Tanner Hauck. If you're just listening to the Triple Play Fantasy Podcast for the first time, then you maybe don't know my obsession with Hauck. If you've been listening, maybe you can block out the next 2 minutes. But Tanner Hauck, 59 innings as a starter last year, a 3.68 ERA, 10 innings as a reliever, a 2.61 ERA. Combine those numbers, and it's a 3.52 ERA in 69 innings. But his FIP ended up being 2.58. And I think that's a better correlation of what a pitcher's value is in that category as far as like earned run average than that FIP that takes fielding out of of the equation there. But what I really like about Hauck is he had a 30.5% strikeout rate and 11.35 strikeouts per 9 innings. He really, though, changed his walks, though. That was the big thing, because Hauck's always had good strikeout stuff, but he cut his walk rate in half last year. And that's a big thing, especially if you're talking about a guy that you're going to want to pitch deeper into games. Right now, I think people view him as like a 5-inning starter. And I think if he can keep that walk rate down, he'll be able to go deeper into games. And you've seen the upside there, too, because there was one point in the season last year where he retired 30 consecutive batters over 4 appearances. So it's a modified perfect game, if you will. He's got a great arsenal. I love pitchers that have a lot of great sliders. And his slider had 41 of his 87 strikeouts in 2021, had a 42.4% whiff rate, and had nearly 100 RPMs more than he did in 2020 on that pitch. A 159 batting averaged against. I mean, guys, I could sit here for days and days talking to you why I think Tanner Houck's going to break out. I do think now with the injury to Chris Sale that it's cemented him to get at least a look early on in that rotation, which is what everybody was kind of waiting to see if he'd get a shot there. And I think with his stuff and with the fact he's going to get a shot in that rotation, I think he's worth the gamble. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's, as of yesterday, was going as pitcher 74 off the board just before pick 200. I think you could do a lot worse with that upside.
Yeah, so, David, did your heart flutter? Describe the feeling when you saw the tweet that he had, pretty much locked into the rotation after how much you've been drafting him?
I said, Tanner Houck stands, this is our day. Our time has come. But I've mentioned it too, and there's a theme here with at least half the guys I have on my list. You draft guys with skills over their roles. We saw it last year with the Dodgers when they had like 8 guys that could be in the rotation. You were like, well, I'm not sure if I trust these guys because they're going to be out of the bullpen. Injuries always happen in this game, especially with pitchers. And eventually, if you take guys that have good stuff and good skills, they're going to get a spot in that rotation, whether it's injury, whether it's performance. So you draft those skill guys at that discount. And then when they get that bump into the rotation later on in the season, then you reap all the benefits. So he's one of the first of few guys I'm going to be bringing up in that role. But let's go back to Marty Party, and let's go over to your second guy on this list, which would be who?
And this is the put your money where your mouth is pick. So Kyle Hendrix, I have him in TGFBI. I think I have him in Glarf. I'm pretty much getting him wherever I can. I've been saying it all off season, and he's still in a really good spot. So he's been in the league for 8 years, and he has a career 3.36 ERA. He's what I would consider a workhorse pitcher. He went 180 innings again last year. And he's still limiting hard contact. His hard hit rate is in the 88th percentile. His average exit velocity is in the 92nd percentile. So still getting weak contact consistently. And he does not walk people. So, yes, I know he had a career low K percentage last year, but I think he's going to be a lot better this year. He even talked about how he was unmotivated last year because of the situation around the Cubs and everything like that. So I think he's going to have a bounce back season. He still has all of his tools that he's always had. His command is still great, still elite. He's in a pretty good ballpark for him, especially at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, I really like where he's at.
Wait, how could he be more motivated this year after they've sold everybody off and like are tanking?
It's a new, when you get a new haircut, you're just refreshed, right? Maybe nothing's changed in your life, but you feel good about it. And he has a new, completely new team around him, right? And Art can speak on that. This is not the same team that he's used to. Obviously, the playoffs aren't in expectation, but he didn't know if he was getting traded the whole year. He didn't know if they were selling everybody off. They've reinvested in the team. They've picked up some good free agents. I'm excited for him, but please go ahead.
I was going to say, I just feel like it's the equivalency of getting a new haircut at a bad barber shop. Like it's a haircut.
Yo, shout out to my people at Great Clips. They trimmed me up good when I went there in Chicago. I was in and out in 15 minutes. Shout out.
Nice.
I know you guys work hard.
Good hair cutters and hairstylists and barbers in Chicago.
If you try to get your head shaved in Chicago, they're going to try to charge you $50. And I'm saying,
are you serious?
Everywhere. Every one of those barbers, I mean, they look beautiful. You go in there, it's a whole thing. But yeah, so I hit up a Great Clips, man. I was in and out in 15 minutes, shaved my head for $15. Thank you.
Do you like Sports Clips? Have you ever been to Sports Clips?
Yeah, same, whatever. Yeah, Fantastic Sam's, whatever.
No, this is a conversation for another day. We don't endorse Sports Clips on this podcast.
I don't know what that is.
You just said you did.
No, I said I if it's the same thing, then yeah. I don't know.
Sports Clips gives you the hot towel, and they give you the MVP package, which is like the hot towel, the head massage, and the haircut.
Oh, but it's awful haircuts.
I mean, they're like my head. They're like, yeah, for his haircut, that's not bad.
Yeah, where do I sign up?
Look, this lineup in the front, my barber asked, "Does this look straight to you?" And it was at that moment I decided that Sports Clips would never get a single penny from me ever again.
Okay, if you have a specialty haircut or hair at all, then don't. But if you're like me, you just need to keep your head shaved.
Okay.
Does it look straight to you, buddy?
Man, we should. This would have been a perfect question of the week. Which player has the best haircut?
Ooh.
There's another question for another show, which means Eric's going to save it for his next question of the week. So stay tuned.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to you, Doc. And your next guy on this list is a Houston Astros pitcher who got a lot of love last year, but seems like he's kind of been left to the wayside a little bit more this season.
I mean, let me tell you, I'm just getting a lot of Jose Urquidy, and the only league I don't is when Art took him 2 picks before me. Thanks, Cheesecake. But beating that Jose Urquidy drum, going to have a spot in the rotation. McCullers isn't healthy. Justin Verlander, I feel like they limit his workload. And so the big thing is with Urquidy, his health. Last year, shoulder soreness, which is why I think the ADP has dropped a little bit. He threw 107 innings, which is a career high for him. I'm hoping he can get towards 120. But he has a 1.02 whip for his career, and he doesn't walk batters. And he attacks the strike zone early, which I love. I think it's confidence in your pitches. Last year, 17 out of the 20 starts, he went 4 innings plus, so he doesn't get shelled. There was one game he had that was really poor against the Blue Jays, but to be fair, a lot of pitchers do. He has a really good pitch mix with a lot of speed variations. A fastball that tops out at 93, a slider at 75, a change at 84, a curve at 77. Once again, we're talking about the ADP of these pitchers. I don't think he's going to give you the innings that an ace can give you, but I think he can give you ace-type games.
Let me ask you guys, this is going to lead into my next player that I'll get into in a couple minutes here. Would you rather take Jose Urquidy at pick 214 or Cristian Javier in that same rotation at pick 282?
Urquidy.
I have Urquidy everywhere. I want them both, but if I had to go with one, I'd go with Urquidy.
Urquidy.
Oh, well, this is a
clean sweep.
This is a Cristian Javier podcast, at least from my angle here.
You are outnumbered.
Oh, I can't wait to debate with you guys when I get to it, but I'm going to let LC take the floor first with his next guy.
Yeah, well, this is a pitcher that I don't have anywhere because I wasn't sure exactly how healthy he was going to be. You know, we had the whole lockout. We didn't get any health updates. Jameson Taion, came out. He's been thrown. He looked good. Threw just a couple of days ago. Threw the ball well, according to many updates on Twitter. And I had been passing him up because I wasn't sure exactly how he was going to be. I think that Taion is a kind of stabilizer. He produces consistent, good whip, consistent his strikeouts at nearly 1 per inning, 8.7 last season. And he's pitching on a good organization where he could be able to get some good run support and get some wins. What I looked for from him last year was just the fact that he went out there and he pitched. He made 29 starts, 144 innings. Really, he never pitched out of the bullpen. I think he's in the rotation. I think he's going to get a good chance to go 140, 150 innings as well. And you're getting him around pick 280 now. He was going well past 300, and that's when I was passing him up, and I'm going, I really kind of was like, I should just take him, but there were guys who I knew were healthy at the time, and now it's just, I look at it and go, this guy's going to be throwing 140, 150 innings, pretty good innings with good whip, good wins. So Jameson Taion.
Yeah, I mean, he's going just right before pick 280. Let me just ask you guys, Jameson Taion or Cal Quantrill?
Cal Quantrill.
Oh, you were split on that one. You say Kikuchi or Jameson Taion?
Taion.
Yo, yeah. I'm feeling Kikuchi more and more after he had a good strong start. He's going to Toronto, where it's obviously going to be a little bit harder for him, but I don't know. Suzuki, give me the upside.
Did you say Suzuki?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Marty.
It's been a long day.
Goodness gracious.
Man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because Kikuchi has more strikeout upside.
He does. He's the first starting pitcher right before Taion. And what about last one? Gonsolin, now that he's got a spot in the rotation. Gonsolin or Taion?
Just not on Gonsolin. I'm taking Taion myself.
Taion.
You don't like the cat?
Tony the Cat? Is that his nickname?
It's something, I think they call him the cat or something like that. It's something, I have to look up the exact name for him, but yeah.
Gonsolin for the first month and then Taion the rest of the season.
He's got security. The Yankees don't have a stable rotation. So if he's anywhere near effective, he's going to get the chances there. Injuries, I think, are just the big question mark. But obviously, at this point in the draft, you can take those types of gambles for the upside he could give you. There's a better transition than talking about Cristian Javier, who's the guy right below him in ADP. I can't believe you guys are all Jose Urquidy over Cristian Javier. I mean, let's be real here. Cristian Javier, we know the potential he possesses. He had a 28.8% strikeout rate of pitchers who threw at least 150 or more innings over the last 2 seasons, which ranked 16th in all of baseball. And I want to shout out SP Streamer, our buddy here, who actually found this out. He had a 32.4% K rate as a reliever and a 26.7% K rate as a starter. And obviously, you look at his numbers on the surface: a 3.55 ERA, 30.7% strikeout rate, 12.5% walk rate, and 101 and a third innings pitched. Obviously, nothing about that is necessarily eye-popping. But what I think at the end of the day comes down with Cristian Javier is his slider is fantastic. A -10 run value, 0.98 expected batting average against, 49% whiff rate, and he also had a 0.155 WOBA and only 9 hits given up on 483 sliders he threw last year. If you want even more deeper stats than that, Javier was one of 9 starting pitchers that faced greater than 100 batters and had a -10 run value on their slider while keeping the pitch usage sub 30%. So what that shows me is he threw the pitch a ton and he still, he didn't throw the pitch that much and he still was able to get a really good minus run value on that slider. At the end of the day, I do think he's going to get a shot in this rotation. I think he has better strikeout stuff than Urquidy. The big thing when I was looking him up, that he was struggling with his fastball command. He walked too many batters, and he was also became ineffective against left-handed hitters. But he talked with then pitching coach Brent Strom, who's no longer with the organization. He's on a different team now. But he basically had him work on momentum to speed up his delivery rather than trying to be careful and throw strikes. When he was trying to throw strikes, he ended up trying to just direct where he threw, and it wasn't working. But his momentum taking over and speeding up his delivery allowed for an increase in 4% on his first pitch strike percentage once he made that change, and his walks went down. So I think he has the tools there to break out this year, and you're getting him at a much cheaper cost. So I think Urquidy is the better option when it comes between those two guys.
Yeah, anyway. I agree. Urquidy is the better option. Thank you for having that long spiel and then coming to our side.
No, Cristian Javier is the better option.
When you replay this back, you'll listen that you said Urquidy.
Did I really?
You did at the end. You did
at the end, but that only once. It's okay. You didn't say Suzuki. You're good.
You guys can see our private chat right now. Okay.
This might be the best episode we've ever done.
Marty, give us your third guy.
So Andrew Heaney, because I just can't learn. But no, I'm hoping that there's some, good old Dodgers magic fairy dust that they sprinkle on these arms. I mean, his K percentage is still, a little bit over 27%. It's in the 72nd percentile. That's always been there. So I'm just hoping that he can find, kind of like a fountain of youth, get into the National League and just continue building on his K percentage and everything he's able to do with limiting some hard contact. So it's a hope and a prayer. He didn't do well when he just came out. I think he gave up 5 runs in 2 innings, and it was just brutal to watch. But I got him so many different places, and I got to keep him.
Wait, you're talking about Andrew Heaney?
Yeah.
Marty, when you put him in the show sheet earlier, I thought you were joking.
I haven't learned anything. But here's the thing. I already drafted him in 2 different places. I can't give up on him yet. We haven't even seen him, in the Dodger blue in the regular season. So,
Marty, I'm putting a prayer out for your fantasy teams. He goes.
He's like my 8th pitcher.
Are you going to start him at any point, you think?
Yes, I hope so. Yes.
I feel like Andrew Heaney is the pitcher equivalent of Matt Chapman.
No.
Can we say that? Or Matt Chapman at least the last 2 years or something.
Matt Chapman is lacerated wrist. Get well, buddy. We love you here at the show.
We do. We really do.
I know you listen.
I think I put a poll out on Andrew Heaney a month ago, and I said, "Are you taking him between picks 100 to 200, 2 to 250, 250 to 300, which is ADP is right around 300?" Or I said, "Are you not taking him at all?" And it was actually like not taking him at all, I think, won the vote by like a decent margin. I mean, the upside he definitely has. That the strikeout stuff is there. He's with the Dodgers, where if he's going to learn to pitch, that's one of the best organizations to do it. It's going to be a question of if he can't do it here, then he's done. Like I can understand taking the gamble on him.
Whoa, no, but then he goes to the Giants and then he revives his career.
I mean, if he looks like a complete flop with the Dodgers, I don't know what the Giants are going to do.
Having to pitch for the Yankees, that's a tough spot. It's a tough ballpark, tough division.
Yeah.
I like him.
All right, Doc, let's go to your next player. And somebody, again, last year that had their ADP shoot up like a balloon, now is sunk down like a rock. You're in on the sunken cost of Zach Plesac.
Look, caveat out there, he is a knucklehead. So there might be some frustration, but he's only 27. He's pitched in the league 3 years, 2 if you're going to count, 2.5 if you're going to count the shortened season. But I look at 2020, 27.7 K percentage, 2.9 walk percentage. I'm not saying he's going to get back to those numbers, but you hopefully that he can be better than he was in 2021 when his K percentage went down to 16.7 now. He has to throw his fastball less. He threw it 41.5% of the time, and it had a 326 batting average as opposed to the 37.6% of time in 2020. He needs to up that slider a little bit more. He threw it 23.1 in 2021 and 27.8 in 2020 when batters hit 069 against him, and he threw that 216 times. So once again, it's ADP. Zach Plesac's a knucklehead, but he's got some talent and he's young. I'll take him.
Yeah. Let's look at his ADP over the last week. Zach Plesac on NFBC 15 teamers is going 352. I can tell you this. I'm interested to hear Marty and Elsie's thoughts as well. The pitchers that go after him, I find myself drafting more of. Luis Patino, Reed Detmers, Anthony Bender for the potential closer job for the Marlins. I'll take over him.
I haven't completely given up on Kyle Gibson because he just can't. I like what I saw from him last year. All of his numbers and his underlying numbers are inflated. I mean, he's living on a hope and a prayer, but I think, if he's healthy, he's going to be able to get you 160 innings, and I see him working at the back of that starting rotation.
Yeah, he'll definitely give you innings, that's for sure. I think you can bank on that. Elsie, your next guy up is?
I want to talk about Carlos Hernandez, just turned 25-year-old man in the Kansas City Royals rotation. I think he's about that's Eliezer. We'll be talking about later. There's my man, Carlos. He's the 141st pitcher off the board. He's about the 100th starter off the board. Now, Carlos just looked like a different pitcher once he went into the rotation. And the one thing I really like about him, even though he doesn't strike out a ton of people, he goes deep into games. He was going 6 innings, 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings, 6 2/3, 5 2/3, and just giving you a lot of volume last season. His as a starter last year, his ERA was half a run better than it was as a reliever. He just looked much better as a pitcher, and he's coming into his prime. A lot of the great analysts are in on him on his pitches. I think that he's someone who I also, feel like I wish that I had gotten more of in my drafts this year, because I think if you're looking at that Kansas City rotation, there's a lot of guys who I've been in at different points, but I think that Hernandez actually is the one who this season might be the best out of all of them. And he's actually going later than a lot of them, later than I think Brady Singer. But I'm a big fan of Carlos Hernandez. And I had him on my team last year, and he pitched well for me down the stretch, which is also always something that helps me make these decisions.
Yeah. So Elsie, what is something in my throat? I've heard you're. Can you tell me a little bit more about Carlos Hernandez's actual stuff? Like, is he somebody that you can rely on for strikeouts? Is he somebody that you think will get innings for them? Or is he more a speculation, kind of like you don't know what you think he is at this point?
No, I think that he's going to throw innings for them. He's the guy who they let pitch deep into the games, and he did that consistently last year, going over six innings. Let me see this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, like six or seven of his last 10 starts were 5 2/3 or 6 innings or more. So he gives you a lot of volume. He's only giving you like 8 Ks per 9. That's what he produced last season as a starter. He produced better numbers when he was coming up. So it's possible there's more in there. A lot of the analysts studying his pitches say that he might have more Ks in those pitches. For me, I'm not, I'm not needing more Ks. I think that he's going in a good situation in a good ballpark, going to provide innings and have a pretty decent defense behind him.
Yeah. I love that Royals team and what they're building there. I absolutely love the prospects coming in, and I love the fact that they're looking like that Witt's going to start the year out with them, and they're not going to have the service time stuff. They're going to actually try to win right now, and which is exciting for them. My next guy I'm going to bring up here, if Tanner Hauck is my heartthrob, then Aaron Ashby is the other side of my heart, because you take out Aaron Ashby's first and last game last year that he pitched, which if you combine those games, 1.1 innings of 10 earned runs, or if you want an ERA, that's an 81.81 ERA. The rest of the time he pitched in the major leagues was 30.1 innings of 1.79 ERA ball and 38 strikeouts. The same pitcher that won Brewers Minor League Pitcher of the Year in 2019, where he posted a 3.5 ERA and 126 innings between two levels, top 10 prospect in their system. I think he's ready to take the next step this year. Like we mentioned with the first two guys, I love good sliders, and his slider was freaking fantastic. He had a slider that had a .77 batting average against, a .79 expected batting average, 42% whiff rate. If you want to look how good his slider was, Ashby trailed only Corbin Burns, who had it with his curveball, and Blake Trinan with his slider as the lowest batting average against the pitch, thrown 200 or more times with his .77 average. So keep in mind, two pitchers had a pitch better than his slider last year when thrown more than 200 times. It's really, really good. He also uses his sinker around 34% of the time to keep hitters honest. Fastball sits in the mid-90s, so he's got good velocity. That sharp breaking slider we talked about, obviously, is the lethal part of his arsenal here. Changeup is also very good, too. A 167 average against and a 34% whiff rate. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, he's somebody, again, they were talking about might not start the year in the rotation. And that's a fair assessment to say with Lauer and Hauser there. But I do think very quickly Ashby will take that role over Hauser. Lauer maybe keeps it unless there's something that an injury or something else goes wrong. I think at very worst, you're getting somebody that's going to be a multi-inning reliever that's going to come in and give you 3 or 4 quality innings, mowing down hitters just at an incredible rate. But ultimately, what gets me most excited about Aaron Ashby, you look at it and how it's gone with the Brewers in the past. You had Brandon Woodruff first. He started out kind of like in the bullpen, and then he ended up being an elite starter. You had Corbin Burns struggle in 2019. Then he came back in 2020 and started making positive strides. Then he's an all-out stud. Last year, you have Freddie Peralta, who was very questionable in the same exact way that Aaron Ashby was. They were like, is he going to be a guy that piggybacks, comes out of the bullpen? Boom. He comes out, and he's arguably one of the biggest surprises last season and a cornerstone in this rotation. I think he's the next guy to follow with the type of stuff that he has. And I think he's going to be somebody that you're going to be like, I can't believe I stole him, which I believe when I say steal, it is a steal because right now he's going at pick 260.95, the 101st pitcher off the board. Absolute madness that you're getting a guy with these types of skills at this point in the draft. So I'm very big on Aaron Ashby.
David, let me ask you, how many innings do you expect him to pitch? Because I'm looking at all the projections and none of them have him over 100.
Yeah, I think that's pretty ridiculous. If I'm not mistaken, how many innings did he throw last year? So he threw in the major leagues, he threw 31.2 innings. But the year before that in the minor leagues, he threw 126 innings between the two levels. So I do think he's going to get the spot because someone's going to get hurt or someone's going to be lack of performance. So I do think he's going to get in that rotation. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get like 150 innings for them next year. I'm gonna pull up his projection systems from Fangraphs too, because I want to see what his minor league. If you combine his minor league and his major league innings last season, what do you get? That's how I like to look at it too.
Yeah, and while you pull that up, I mean, Zips is optimistic. They give him 113 innings pitch, but we're looking at Steamer 89 innings, ATC 86, the Bad Axe 86, looking around a 3.5 ERA, 1.3 WHIP, 100 Ks though.
So last year he pitched, if you combine his AAA and his major league innings, he pitched 95 innings last year. So maybe they give him 50 innings is kind of the borderline or the standard bump. So in that case, you'd be close to 150. But if you want to play it safer, maybe 135, 140 innings. I think they're very much I think they're projecting him to be a reliever, which is why the innings are so low. And that's why I'm saying I think they're not taking into account he could be in this rotation and that those would change. So I think that's part of the reason you're getting a huge dip on him right now. And the skills are there. And so that's why I'm very much super excited getting him at this price because I think really quickly people are going to reap the benefits of him. All right. You got two more players each. We're going to shoot through here, starting back with Mr. Tallman. Your fourth player is who?
Reed Detmers. We touched on him a little bit for the Angels. I mean, coming up last year, he had a 7.40 ERA over his 22.2 innings. So obviously a tough beginning for the kid, but we've already seen in spring training on March 25th, he went 3 innings with 5 Ks, only allowed 1 hit. His curveball looked incredible. It was a curveball that we saw back in college. It's absolutely beautiful. And he's working another off-speed pitch in there that actually looked a lot more polished, and his delivery was a lot more repeatable than it was last year. So less herky-jerky in there. So everything I saw is it's up for him. And the Angels are going to need more and more arms in there. So I could see him, if they're winning, they're going to let him pitch. So he's at a good spot.
Yeah. I mean, the prospect pedigree, the fact they need pitching, and he seems like he's obviously turning a corner this spring. Seems like he's somebody that is a hot name, and he's going at a pretty fair price too, 377, 134th overall pitcher off the board. I think that's a pretty good value for him. Do you have him on a lot of teams, Marty?
I got him in 1, but I was getting him back in when it was well over 400.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy peasy back then. But ever since that spring training start, don't expect he's on everyone's list. It's there.
Yeah.
That's definitely more than Chris Flexen. I'll say that.
I'm with you 100%. I think the upside there is way better for him. I like that call. Doc, let's go to your fourth player. And I actually like this guy, I think, the most out of anybody you have on your list. But why don't you tell us about another Kansas City Royal? And you're on mute, you dumb rookie.
Okay, thank you. I'm big on Brady Singer this year. Once again, we're talking about guys that are later. But he's only 25. The innings pitcher going up each season. He had a couple of injuries in 2021. I think he would have gotten a little bit more bump there. His K rate and walk percentage stayed similar to his year before. And I think the Royals weren't consistent. And I look at this stretch, and Marty, I think you can attest to how kind of the Tigers used Casey Mize. So, for example, on April 24th, he threw 7 innings pitched and faced 24 batters. The next game, he pitched April 30th. He went 2 innings pitched and faced 11 batters, and he only had 1 earned run. They just kind of seemed inconsistent with how many pitches they were letting him throw. And I think part of pitching too is you got to learn to work out of those bad situations. I will say where he needs to improve is right now he's a 2-pitch guy. He throws his sinker about 57% of the time, and he throws his slider about 38% of the time. I think if he can throw in a third pitch, even if he can just throw his fastball and improve on his location, I mean, I like it as a dart throw.
Yeah. I mean, Brady Singer is somebody who's going to eat innings for them. I've actually read that him and Whit Merrifield have kind of talked about him for this upcoming season, and he's been working on some things that I've been reading that he could be a lot better this season. Wish I had those things in front of me, but that's what a good host would do. But I do not have those in front of me at the moment. But I do like Brady Singer again as an innings eater, a guy that maybe not give you a ton of strikeouts, but somebody you can get at this point in your draft, and you can just have a guy that if you need the innings and you need a guy that can give you some quality starts here and there, he could be a guy for you. LC, your fourth player on this list is who?
I think that the Milwaukee lefty that will fill the void in the back of that rotation is Eric Lauer. Now, Eric Lauer had made, I think, 22, 23, or 20 some starts for Milwaukee last season. Looked really good for them. And he doesn't really have a platoon difference. He actually had a 211 average against righties last year and a 228 against lefties last year. Strikes out almost one batter per inning. And this is a person who threw over 150 innings in San Diego a few seasons ago. So he has that background of throwing a lot of innings in the bigs. He looked good for Milwaukee last season, and you look at him now, he's throwing a little bit harder. He has a little bit of an uptick in velocity this spring, touching 96 from the left side, which would be faster than he's thrown at any point in his career. So I really like Lauer. I think he's one of those late stabilizers you can have. I think he's gonna flourish in his second year in Milwaukee and that pitching culture there. And I have him in a few leagues.
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting him as late as you do, close to pick 400, and the increased velocity, or pick 321, but still, and the increased velocity. I think anytime you see a pitcher with increased velocity, that's automatically going to make you raise an eyebrow, because not only can that make it so they can leave more pitches in the zone and get away with mistakes, but their off speed stuff and breaking stuff can play off of that a lot better. So someone like Lauer, who already was last year talked about is making strides, I think this could be a good year for him. And I do like that call, LC. I think Lauer is somebody you're getting at this spot, and you're putting him on your bench as one of your bench pitchers, and you're able to, if he does break out, reap the benefits without having to take much risk at this point. The next guy I'm going to talk about is a guy actually that doesn't feature a slider, and it's Alex Cobb. Now, do you guys remember how bad he was in Baltimore?
We
Yes.
do.
Thanks for
was
for
terrible.
playing off. This is good podcasting. Thanks for playing off. So he was bad to the point where he had a 7-22 record in 217 innings, a 6.71 ERA, and 148 strikeouts, which the K per 9 for that was 6.1 K per 9. If you remember, obviously, everything else was really bad. I won't go through all his bad statistics. He goes to the LA Angels, and he starts turning around last year. An 8-3 record, a 3.76 ERA over 18 starts. And what he did ultimately was he threw his splitter a lot more. So much more, he actually threw it more than Kevin Gausman, who's known for the splitter. And that also not only just made his numbers better, his K per 9 went up 9.5 K per 9 after 6.1 in Baltimore. He also was the top 93 percentile among qualified pitchers in chase rate and the top 94% in barrel rate. And he was only allowing barreled balls on 4.2% of barreled balls in play. So everything about his hard contact was better. And obviously ERA, Ks, everything went up. So now he's going to the Giants, and Kevin Gausman went to the Giants. And I know he was making changes with the Braves and the Reds, but he became an all-star with the Giants. And the Giants simply told him to ditch his slider and changeup, and instead you throw your two best pitches, you throw them off, and that's his splitter and his fastball. And basically in his first year, he upped them to combine over 80% of his offerings. And then last year, it was over 90% of his offerings. And he was even better his second year. So you throw your best pitches, throw them often. I think what they're going to do that exact same thing with Cobb. They're going to have him throw his sinker and his split finger a lot more, while keeping his fastball usage and curveball usage down slightly. I am interested also because they say Cobb is mixing a new curveball grip that he was working on at Driveline that I think could be an interesting pitch to add to his arsenal. But I think at the end of the day, that his fastball or his overall velocity is up because of Driveline. It was actually up a couple miles per hour last year. And the fact that he's going to feature his nasty splitter a lot more, like I think Kevin Gausman did, I think that's why he has another level in him. Maybe not the all-star Kevin Gausman level, but maybe like a low 3s, high 2s ERA and like a K per 9, which is a very serviceable player at, if I'm not mistaken, he is going right now at pick 230.91, the 90th pitcher off the board. So I think that could be somebody that could be worth the gamble there. Anybody with the Giants is definitely somebody that could be worth the gamble. Let's wrap up with our last player talked about here. And you guys switched the order on me. I think that you were on screen, or maybe I'm just crazy. LC, let's go to you first. Who's your last player?
I just want to shout out to Eliezer Hernandez, someone who I think has a lot of arm talent, someone who's a first-round pick of the Marlins and really fighting for a chance at the back end of that rotation right now. Came in, and he's dealing this spring. I did some research. He struck out 3 over 3 scoreless innings, backing up Trevor Rogers the other day. Looking good. I think given a chance in the back of that rotation. He's got plus strikeout stuff. He has, and he could give you over a strikeout per inning and have like a 3-to-1 K to walk rate. Perhaps give you a nice whip on that. So Eliezer is someone who I think could be an upside play at the back end of your draft.
I like it. Anybody that's with the Marlins and has the stuff that he has, I think is worth the gamble.
He just needs health. Yeah, I think he just needs to stay healthy.
Marty, what about you? Your last guy.
Dylan Bundy, baby. I got him everywhere, from Glarf to TGFBI to the Triple Players Ball. So I got to just, got to go with the guy that I got. He's still not too far removed. We remember that one beautiful season that he had where, it seemed like he had turned a corner, but unfortunately, he was really horrible last year. So it's this thing where we don't know exactly what we're going to get in 2020. It was only I think he went 65.2 innings. He had a 3.29 ERA, and he skyrocketed up everybody's board for 2021. Last year, he was awful. He had a 6.06 ERA. He just never was comfortable. He was hurt in and out. He only got 90 innings pitched, so it wasn't anywhere near a full season for him. So I'm hoping he can return back to form for your Twins, get rejuvenated in a little bit new park. It's a good pitcher's park. I don't think it favors really either way. But just new scenery, and hopefully we can get something out of him. He's basically free.
Do you guys like Dylan Bundy or the upside of Mackenzie Gore more?
I like Dylan Bundy because I know he's going to play.
I agree on that. Yeah. I don't know what Gore's going to do.
Twins don't develop pitching well. When players come over as free agents, it doesn't always go well with our pitching coaches. And
yeah, but Baltimore, not really.
You sound like a sad fan.
Dylan Bundy's going to have like if I'm being realistic, he's going to have like a low or high 4s, low 5 ERA. He's going to be batting practice. He's going to have if Dylan Bundy is good next year, I will be the first one to say, Marty Tallman, you were right. I was wrong. I need to listen to you a lot more.
Well, we need to put the parameters around what good is, because I don't think he's going to be. I wouldn't necessarily say he's going to be good. He's going to pick 531. So
is his ERA under 4?
I think we could expect probably somewhere around a 4.3, 4.5.
Okay, so
yeah,
let's make a pod bet right now, and we're going to start keeping track of these. I have to make a Google Doc.
Interns.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yes.
If you're listening.
All right. Interns, you are keeping track of our bets here. This is the first bet. 4.5 ERA under for Marty Tallman, over for DMendy.
All right. I put that down in my little handy dandy notebook. So in case the interns slip, I got them.
Go, Marty!
All right. Doc, give us your cliff notes, your last guy.
Yeah, for me, it's Madison Baumgartner. He threw 3 scoreless inning pitch, and I want to give a shout out to SB Streamer. Second time he's going to get credit on this pod.
Oh, wow.
His fastball velo was from 90 to 91, increase from last year to this year. The cutter velocity up from 87.3 to 88.7. I mean, last year he had a 1.18 whip, and I don't think that it necessarily correlates to the 4.63 ERA that he had, or 4.67. I mean, he's only 32 years old. I know he has a lot of mileage on that arm, but he threw 147 innings last year. He's an innings eater. I'm not saying we're going to see the Mad Bum of old, but I think a high 3s ERA, low 4s isn't unrealistic.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not taking any Mad Bum, but at this point in the draft that you get him, right under Dylan Bundy at 534, it's a free pick.
Wait, David, Dylan Bundy or Mad Bum? Gun to your head, who are you taking?
Dylan Bundy.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
After that bet you just made?
I mean, it's not. It's like, do you want to call it trash or garbage? Like, I mean, at the end
Would
of
you
the
rather
day,
have Dylan Bundy or Rich Hill?
Rich Hill, no question.
Okay.
But yeah, Mad Bum, I think he's shown how bad he is over the last couple seasons now. I think Bundy has a little bit of a chance to outperform Mad Bum.
He's a bull rider now. He's got better things to do.
Exactly. My last guy is, I had to bring his name up because he's been the talk of spring training, Jesus Luzardo. His ADP starting to go up there. But as of yesterday, he was the 99th pitcher off the board, picked 256.61. If you look at his last Tuesday start, he relied heavily on his fastball. He threw about 51% of the time. Then on Sunday, so we're recording this on Monday, so that was yesterday, 4 innings pitched. Okay. He threw 61 pitches with all but 3 of them being his curveball or fastball. So he threw his 2 best pitches and he threw those often. Not only did he do that, but his velo was up. He was touching 98, averaging 97.3 miles per hour. Just absolutely filthy. And this was against an Astros lineup that had everybody in it besides Yordan Alvarez as their opening day lineup. He asked about his command. He said this is the best he's felt in years as far as his command, especially with his fastball, which he's been known to have struggled command with. Final line on Sunday was 4 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, which was 0 earned, a walk, and 5 Ks. Has not allowed an earned run in Grapefruit League competition this year. He looks like he's back to being what we were talking about he was going to be in Oakland. And the Marlins are kind of unlocking that now. We saw glimpses at the end of last year. And I think at this point, I heard people talking about it. Could he be this year's Robbie Ray? He might be one of the lead candidates for that because the stuff and the prospect pedigree, and now he's got the right coaching staff and team in place to harness it all, or to put it all together. At pick 252, going around Bailey Ober, Herman Marquez, I'm sorry, Marty, Casey Mize, Steven, the doormats. Like, give me Jesus Luzardo all day over all those guys.
I would take Luzardo over Mize all day, every day.
Yeah. But that's going to close out our starting pitcher discussion. Obviously, there's a lot of starting pitchers to talk about. I think we hit a good amount, 20 on this episode alone. And throughout this entire starting pitcher preview, we had a good amount of guys. And hopefully with your fantasy drafts now wrapping up, we are about a week and a half away from opening day. You have enough knowledge of pitchers you want to draft and pitchers you think you'll avoid going into your draft. But guys, it's going to wrap us up here. Anything you guys would like to plug to the audience before we close out shop?
Baseball's coming and just enjoy it.
I agree. Very excited for that. But all right, fellas, that's going to close us out here. Please make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you like the video, you're subscribed if you're not subscribed, and leave a comment down below. Whose list of their top 5 pitchers in this range did you like the best, and why did you like those pitchers?
And why is David's the worst?
And if you're on the podcast version, please, 5-star ratings and reviews always help build up the podcast side of things. And whatever format you listen or watch on, we appreciate you. But that's going to wrap us up. DMendy, that's Marty Tallman, that's LC, that's Doc Mendelson. Go make like a bread truck. We're going to make like a bread truck. We're going to haul these buns. Catch you guys in the next one.